This is Elizabeth Brice with a current events presentation on climate change. Climate change is causing catastrophic effects on our world. Glaciers and polar ice is melting, causing sea levels to rise. And this is due to our warming climate. Yet millions of people depend on the planet's glaciers to supply water in dry seasons. And as Arctic sea ice melts, it creates a process that further speeds up climate change. Additionally, when these glaciers and ice sheets melt, they create sea level rises that increase flooding risk for millions of people on coasts where populations and cities are growing fast. Sea levels will continue to rise if emissions are not reined in. And for people on small islands and low-lying coastal areas, the effects have already been a harsh reality. Additionally, climate change is affecting ecosystems and causing extinction threats. From tropical mountain forests to polar ice, protections are needed for our essential ecosystems that offer beauty and adventure. Climate change is already causing widespread harm to polar life, coral reefs, and extinctions are increasing. Also, extreme weather is increasing, as I have seen living in California. Droughts, floods, hurricanes, fires are detrimental and an effect of climate change. All over the world, we're seeing and experiencing these extreme droughts, tropical storms, forest fires, and intense rainfall, all of which that are projected to continue to get worse. Extreme action is needed to prevent more damage to the environment, the economy, and human lives. Air pollution, along with extreme weather, is already a silent killer and is set to become worse with climate change. Yet we can fight both air pollution and climate change with a shift to 100% renewable energy. It's hugely important and a double win for both the health of people and our planet. Here in California, we're experiencing the effects of climate change firsthand with smoke outside of our door from the wildfires that are 2 hours away. The entire Bay Area is engulfed in smoke from these several wildfires burning all over the state, and people have lost their homes, lost their lives. Fortunately, many have been able to evacuate, and many are coming here to our town. But this dry land, lack of rainfall, heat, it's been a recipe for disaster. Scientists at the University of California, Los Angeles, Center for Climate Science have agreed that if we would have gotten our average rainfall, normally in the fall we would get about 4 to 5 inches of rain, and that is not the case, leading it to be very dry, horrible conditions for fire hazards. Certainly this is not unique to California. This is happening all over the world, and it is a major issue and certainly caused by climate change, even though our current president does not agree. The effects of global warming can be seen all over the world, and scientists have recently reported some life-changing information that the detrimental effects are increasing faster than we originally thought. The planet's warming faster than we originally thought, and the threshold of what they claim is a 1.5 degrees Celsius warming will have detrimental effects on our planet, that we are reaching that faster than we ever thought possible. That it's almost impossible not to cross that threshold, given the rate that we are willing to make necessary changes. This information came from the Intergovernmental Panel on Climate Change, Special Report on Global Warming, and advising drastic changes to attempt to prevent these perils, and advising people in warmer climates to adapt and prepare for the negative effects of a hotter and drier, more water-stressed life. They also mentioned that impacts worldwide are not only due to the hot and dry weather and water stresses, but also increasing conflict is likely in countries like Africa, which is a great concern. Many countries have come together to attempt to combat climate change due to global warming and adapt to its effects. The Paris Agreement showed the goal of limiting global warming well below 2 degrees Celsius from pre-industrial levels, and to pursue efforts to limit the temperature even further to 1.5 degrees Celsius. To reach these ambitious goals, though, appropriate financial flows, new technologies, and enhanced capacity building are needed. And many countries are reporting that it will be extremely challenging to reach the goals of the Paris Agreement. Mitigation pledges by many nations fall short of what's needed, and I believe we need to hold them accountable to what we know is essential for our planet and our people. With increasing emissions, the 1.5 degrees Celsius threshold could be reached as early as the next decade, and the 2% mark the decade after. So drastic changes and accountability is certainly essential. This is a global tracker measuring the progress of 32 countries in meeting the Paris Accord goals. Taken together, those 32 countries account for 80% of the world's greenhouse gas emissions. So the Climate Action Tracker was created by a group of 3 climate research organizations to monitor this progress and provide up-to-date assessments on countries' individuals' reduction targets and with an overview of their combined effects. So unfortunately, the majority of the countries are in the insufficient to highly insufficient and even critically insufficient columns here, that they are not reaching their mitigation goals, and therefore collectively we will not reach the mitigation goals necessary to combat the catastrophic efforts of climate change. So certainly a new plan of action is needed, and we have to come up with some creative solutions and some accountability incentives as well. Earth's future rests in our hands. Global climate change is projected to continue with increasingly damaging effects over this century and beyond. The magnitude of climate change beyond the next few decades depends on the amount of heat-trapping gases humans emit globally. It's up to us to find creative solutions to solve these problems.